Are men capable of love? And it's a question that I'm seeing a lot, like, on the internet. I live under a rock, so I'll post and then, like, hibernate, you know? I don't really go on social media that much, to be honest. So when I've seen these videos and these topics, it did really have me thinking. I'm very vocal. I talk about my personal experience, what happens to me in my life, and I share it because I know a lot of people can learn from it. A lot of people aren't super vulnerable about what they've been through. But it's just like, if you're holding things in, how can the world know and how can the world relate with you? So, I always say, God, use me, to touch people, to help people, so and so. But, like I said, I've been very vocal about my experiences. And recently, I feel like this whole past August, I've been dragged and been really brought to rock bottom because I allowed my ex back in my life. Like, he's blocked, like, I don't talk to him anymore. But it's just that I was doing so well. And then I let my ex back in my life because he was begging me, saying he was going to do better. I was in a vulnerable position because, I've been dealing with a lot of health problems, like weekly blood infusions and everything. And him knowing that and begging to come back in my life, when I allowed him back in my life, he didn't care. He got what he wanted and just acted a certain way. And that's when I asked the question, are men capable of love? Because love isn't territorial. Love is free. Love should be unconditional. But why is it that I won't love you unless you do this for me? Or I won't love you if this, that, and the third. Why is it just love? They say when a woman gets sick or if a woman passes away, a man marries like immediately. Or if his wife's on like deathbed, a man's already dating. But if a woman, like if her man is sick, if he's, on deathbed, she's going to stand by him and she probably won't remarry. But men, they're always looking to replace the woman. They even tell us so I'm not making this up. They tell us that when you get a certain age, like past 30, you lose your value. So it's on to the next. That's not love, Love is sticking by someone when they're growing old. Love is sticking by someone through rich or poor, through better or for worse. And they say that women will leave a man if he gets poor. That's not true, because if you look at statistics, a lot of women are with poor men. A lot of women are standing by and taking care of men who don't have jobs. So you can't even say women are gold diggers, because if you think about it, a lot of women aren't. The average woman is not. I wasn't. I was with guys who had no money. I was with guys, I'm ashamed to say this, but I was with guys, I was taking care of them and helping them, and I was more of a benefit to them than they were to me, yet they were still abusing me. So when the question comes back, are men capable of love? Are they? Or are they just in it for themselves? Are they in it for it to be about them? Are they in it for them? Are they in it approaching it selflessly to use someone? And it's one thing, because they say women are gold diggers. Okay, if you want to fight that, okay, let's say they are. But it's one thing to use someone for their money, right? You can always get back money, work better jobs, work longer hours. Money is hard to come by, but you can always get it back. But to use someone for their body and their heart and to cause them years of trauma, that's something totally different. If, like, to assault someone, to take something from someone that you weren't given, you know what I mean? It's like I could go on and on and on about the abuse women face by the hand of man. The evil abuse women face, children face, animals face, but this video is not for that, because I'm not here to attack anyone, but it's to genuinely ask. It's crazy, because when I think about my, years of dating history, I've been nothing but pure, I've been nothing but honest, and what I've gotten back was the total opposite. What I've gotten back was being constantly used and abused. I don't think the average man is capable of love, because if you think about it and look at the world, I think it's like 1 out of 3 women have been assaulted. There's so much abuse from women. There's so much is being taken from them. That's not love. This video is not to drag men or anything, because I have really close male friends in my life. And they even tell me, they're like, Ido, like, be careful. They have to even warn me about men. So it's like, why are other men warning me about men? And it's not to drag anyone. I don't have any hate in my heart. I'm not those women in the gender wars, but I'm also not blind. And I'm going to speak up about how I feel and what I see and what is wrong. Because as human, we're supposed to speak about what's wrong, right? Injustice, no matter if you're a male or female. I'm going to talk about what women are doing wrong. And I think more males should talk about what men are doing wrong, because you can't tell women it's not all men, but see what other men are doing and not saying anything about it. Because you're just a bystander doing nothing. You know, if I'm seeing someone getting beat up in a park and I do nothing about it, I don't call the police and I mind my own business, I'm helping that person. I'm helping the perpetrator. To be honest, if I'm doing nothing about it and I have the power to, you know what I mean? So it's just like, you can't say it's not all of us, but then still not do nothing about it. You know, why does every, woman know another woman who's been assaulted, but every guy doesn't really know a man who assaulted a woman? Like, let that make sense. And it just makes me like upset, because I feel like I hold back my tongue a lot because I'm always trying to keep the peace. I don't like problems. I'm not a problematic person. But I think this topic is so important to speak about, because I think a lot of people are so afraid to talk about it because they don't want to get that backlash. But it's coming to the point where you need to be authentic to yourself, and you need to speak up and speak your truth. Because if you don't, you're always going to have that inside of you, that truth, or that guilt of not saying anything, and it's going to just ache at you and ache at you and ache at you. And I want to make more topics about this. I want to make more topics for women, but I do understand that both audiences watch my videos, and I don't want to offend anybody. You know, when I say the average man, I think the less evolved man. I think the man who's not connected to himself spiritually. I think the man who doesn't have a connection with God, who doesn't have a connection with Source, is incapable of love. Because if you think about it, love is life. And if you're not connected to your heart, you're not connected to life, you're not connected to self, you're not connected to honestly anything. So if you're not connected to anything, if you're not connected to your heart, then obviously you can assault a woman. Obviously you can assault a child, an animal. You know what I mean? Obviously you can do evil onto the world because you don't have guilt about it. Obviously you can use someone for their body and take from them, take something that they didn't give you. Obviously you can do that because you are evil. And you are not connected to your heart. You are not connected to God. You are not connected to Source. So you are capable of such things. You know, women are so emotional. We naturally are just connected to our hearts, like just naturally. But men, they really take that logical approach. And I think they have to unlearn to be closed off. They have to unlearn to always be so strong. They have to unlearn what they have been taught by society. They're taught not to show emotions. Like, I have male friends that tell me I can't talk to my guy friends about these things. I can't be emotional and vulnerable around my guy friends, but I can around women. I can't around my sister, my mother, my girlfriend, but I can't around my dad, or I can't around my uncle or my male friends, because they're going to look at me as weak and tell me to man up. And I think that's so toxic, because emotions are everything. Emotion is intuition. Emotion is discernment. You feel it in you. So if you're not connected to yourself, if you're not connected to your emotions, you're not connected to your intuition. You're not connected to God at the end of the day. So if you're not connected to God, of course you can do evil. And even if you don't believe in God, if you're not connected to your heart, if you're not connected to your emotions, then you can do evil. Like this video is a lot, because what's coming to my head right now is women getting cheated on during pregnancy. That's what's coming to my head. Because you don't understand how painful it is to experience that, and then you're pregnant. So the emotions are like times 100. Then the postpartum, like, you're literally bringing life into the world. She's literally bringing your child into this world. And the thing you do, you reward her by cheating on her. Any man, any person who has a heart, who has morals, would never in their goddamn mind would do something like that. No matter if you believe in God or not, it's plain wrong, it's plain evil. But yet it's so common. It's so common that as soon as a woman gives birth to your child, you cheat on her, you mistreat her, you leave her. She starts changing, gaining weight, which is normal when you have kids, and you leave her. That's not love. That's not, and no matter what you tell me and say, well, women are gold diggers, women will leave a man because of his money. It's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. It's not, you can never compare the same to, you can never compare a body, a heart, a mind, and soul to money. That's something you cannot buy. That is something that is not for sale. So I want people to get out of their head that, well, she's using me for my money, I'm going to use her for her body. You can't correlate the two. You cannot correlate the two. Get that out of your head. It's wrong to be left for money. It's wrong to be used for your money, 100%. But you know what's worse? To be lied and manipulated for your body, to be lied and manipulated for your heart and your soul, to be lied and manipulated for someone to use you, for your body, for your being, for your essence, for your energy, for that. I think that's the worst pain ever, to be honest. You can always get back money, honestly. You can win the lotto, you can start a business, you can do anything and you can get that money back. But that pain you caused that person, that trauma, that hurt, that abuse, that's going to hang on to them for life. It's going to cost even more money to heal, to get therapists, to work on yourself, to go deep in that trauma. Do you think about it like that? I saw this video and this woman said, women are the subconscious. The subconscious is 90%. And she said men are the conscious, the 10%. So you know how like you see an iceberg and you see like the little tip of it? That's the logical approach. That's the conscious. That's what you see in the real life. But underneath that's the 90%, the deep part of the iceberg that you don't see is the subconscious, 90% the woman. And you know, they say it takes both to complete something. You know, you need everything to make 100%. But they say all we do is pay attention to that masculine energy, the 10%, the what we see with our eyes. But the woman is 90%, the subconscious, the water. Earth is like, 90% of water, the subconscious, the feminine energy. But then what you see, the land, all that makes up 10% of the earth. So it's just like, we're so pay attention to the masculine. We pay attention to like that aspect. But the other feminine, the other 90%, we neglect and we push away. We're taught that emotions are weak. We're taught that being vulnerable is weak. We're taught that love is weak. So we're taught to push that away. But deep down inside, we have that conflict with us, because no matter what you say, no matter how you lie to yourself, you're always going to feel it. And when you don't feel it, when you suppress it, that's when turmoils and problems start happening. That's when that masculine, that logic takes over and consumes you. So you're kind of erasing that 90% and only living in that conscious part of you. When you erase that 90%, that emotion, you're only thinking 10% of your soul. You're only thinking 10% of yourself. And that 10%, it's not emotional, it's logical. So obviously you can do evil when you're only thinking in a logical way and you're not thinking with your heart. You know, when you think with your heart, when you feel with your heart, you don't think. You feel, you move, you flow. But when it's logic, it's not flowing. It's like a rock. You're trying to throw a rock and you're expecting the rock to move and blow and flow, but it's a rock. It's hard. It's solid. It doesn't flow because it's not water. It doesn't flow because it cannot. It doesn't flow because you're not allowing it to flow. You know, you need that rock. Let's say you throw a rock in the water. Will it float and flow with it? I don't know. If it's light enough too, maybe. It's 10%, so maybe it will flow. But they have to come together. It has to flow. That rock, I say, is the foundation. And that water takes that rock and moves it and brings that rock to the surface, brings that rock to the destination. That water is what takes that rock and pushes it. But if I just have a rock and throw it, how is it going to move without the water? They go hand in hand, you know? And without that rock, the water can't bring it anywhere. It's just water moving and flowing, which is beautiful, but it needs to bring something to its destination. And that's why I look at the masculine and feminine energy. They both work hand in hand. You know, the ocean's going to flow no matter what. It's an ocean. It's going to flow. But it takes that rock and it brings the rock into that land, into something better. It moves the rock instead of just the rock being on its own, and you throw the rock on land and it doesn't really move. And we have to look at life like that. We have to look at it as the masculine needs a feminine, the feminine needs a masculine. The feminine flows, but the masculine is solid and grounding, and we both need both. But I think men sometimes look at women as just disposable, just tools that they could just use and use for pleasure and then discard once they're done. And that's not right. No matter how you want to say it and put it and quote it and explain it, it's just not right. Using that statement of the 90% subconscious being the feminine and the 10% conscious being the masculine, and knowing that as a human body, we are 90% water. So you are 90% feminine. You are water, and water is a feminine element. If you don't want to believe it or not, it just is. So if you hate women, you're hating 90% of yourself. You came from a woman, you're hating 90% of yourself. But if you're a woman, you hate men, it's still not good, but you're hating 10% of yourself, if that makes sense. So it's just like a lot of men who hate women they have such turmoil inside of them, such rage, such anger, such hatred inside of them. And it's just like, I don't know if it's because you have a problem with your mom. I don't know if because you had a girlfriend, she cheated on you, or she left you, or she did something to you. But with men, sometimes it's like that one woman that will hurt you. You then look at it and think every woman's like that. Or you have to think about it. It's like, what woman are you going after? Are you going after a woman who claims she's a gold digger, who is obviously using you for your money? Or are you going after a nice woman with a good heart? And it's crazy because the players, you go after the good girls and you hurt them and you use them and you drain them. But then you meet a woman who's using you. Obviously, you know which that woman looks like. She's using you for your money, and then you get used for your money and you complain. But you let your lust take over you. You let your lust, your head, your wrong head, you thought with that one instead of this one. And then you are projecting onto every single woman and thinking every single woman is wrong. But we are really abused and mistreated, and we are really at a disadvantage of this world. It's like if you are a man living in this patriarchy society, you already have the upper hand. You already do. So it's like, why are you blaming women? We literally have no control and power. Like, we're getting that power back. We are. But still, we are not equal. You guys have more power than us. So how can you complain about us and say we're doing this, that, and the third? But you guys have the power over us, to be honest. We don't have as much right. It's 2024. You know what I mean? But we still are unequal. We still are at such a disadvantage. Look at third world countries. Look what's happening in those societies. Look what's happening to women and children. Children getting married off. Young girls, 12, 9, 8, getting married off to 50-year-old men. Is that not crazy? Is that not evil? How do you justify that? And don't say religion. How do you justify a 9-year-old being married off to a 50-year-old man? How do you justify that? How? I'm not talking about America right now. I'm talking about these other countries that is acceptable. Why are you... I'm not going down that road. But I just want people to understand that your hatred for women is misplaced. I'm sorry if you were used for your money. I'm sorry if you were heartbroken. I'm sorry if a woman you did genuinely love and care about hurt you. I'm sorry. But don't use that pain and project onto all of us and call every single woman a gold digger, because 9 times out of 10, women just want to be loved. 9 times out of 10, women will stand by you if you're giving her that love and that time. There are your exceptions. And I feel like nowadays women are just like, you can't offer me love. You can't offer me this. So the least you can do is offer me money. So don't look at what's going on now in this era, in this movement that's going on now with women, and look at that as all women are thinking that way. Because that's not true. Because at the end of the day, women just want to be loved. But like I say, are men incapable of that love? If women are thinking men are incapable of love, I think that's why they're starting to use men for their money, because they're thinking, well, that's all you guys can offer. That's all y'all can offer is money. Is that my mindset? Is that my morals, my ideal? No, I don't think that. I don't. But if I'm being honest and I look back to all my relationships, every single one of them, abusive, not abusive, boring, not boring, chaotic, not all of them, I was always the one who loved more. Not saying that the guy didn't love me, or maybe he thought he loved me, or you know what I mean, loved me to the best of his ability. But I've always loved more, and I was so unconditional and selfless about it. And he was selfish about it, because every single guy I've been with has always put himself first. And maybe that's something women can learn from men, to always put yourself first. You know, maybe it's wrong of me to say that men aren't capable of love, because I don't think that. I think the average man is not capable of love. The average man, the undeveloped man, the man less evolved, okay? But I think men are capable of, I think when a man heals and finds himself, and that can go both ways, because a lot of women can close themselves off too. I think it's harder though for women to close themselves off, because women are naturally emotional, but I think it's possible. But I think if a man really healed and really got in tune with his heart, he would know that he can be soft and gentle and loving, and he would start seeing the world and start seeing women through a clearer perspective, a clearer lens, a clearer image. Because I always say, I love my analogies. I say, if you had a camera and it had a cracked lens, and you put that on every single camera, your cracked lens, you're going to see life through that cracked lens. Even if the image is beautiful, even if the image is clear, you're always going to see every single picture, every single video you record, you're going to see it through that cracked lens, because that's the lens you're using on your camera. That is your lens. That's who you are internally: cracked, hurt, damaged, broken. So every person you see, every experience you see, you're going to see it through that cracked lens until you heal and until you get that lens fixed. You know, I think a lot of times we have these views of man, woman, is because of how we were taught, how we were raised, society, you know, just what we grew up learning. You know, it was so embedded in us to view each other this way. For men to view women as tools, something to be used, something to just pump babies in, something to use physically, you know, to use for their own pleasure, for their own benefit. Maybe that's what they were taught. But you have to understand what's right and what's wrong, and you can't listen to what these podcasts are saying, or these quote-unquote high-value men are saying. You cannot look at that, because people have souls and people have heart. And who are you to look at someone as something to use? That's not right. You know, if you don't want to listen to me and you want to say mean things about me and my opinion and say all these mean things, call me a feminist, okay, whatever. You can say that about me. But I'm done being quiet. I'm done being silenced. I'm done not speaking my mind. I'm vulnerable, but I'm going to be vulnerable in every aspect, in every way. You know, I think that we need to stop listening to society and stop listening to what other people are telling us and really start listening to our hearts. But in order to do that, we have to heal. This video is not to divide anyone. I feel like it's to bring people together. It's for people to understand what we've been taught, how we've been raised. The ideals of this world is wrong. We are all human beings. We should not hate men. We should not hate women. We should love each other. And I think we all have that capability, but it starts with healing. It starts with hiring your consciousness. It starts with developing your consciousness, with connecting to your soul, connecting to your heart, connecting to you. And when you connect with you and not listen to what these podcasts are saying or what these videos are saying or what social media is saying, then you can understand that you've been fed lies about one another. Do I know everything? No. But I know that we, the masculine, the feminine, we're supposed to work together, not fight each other. You know, I asked, are men capable of love? I asked that because in this world ruled by men, it's chaotic. There's war, there's evil, there's deception. Why is that? Because it's logically run. It's not run with emotion. It's not run with heart. It's run with this and the head down there. It needs more feminine energy. The right, healthy feminine energy. The right, healthy masculine energy. It needs that. I'm tired of this divide. I'm tired of these wars. I'm tired of these race wars. I'm tired of these gender wars. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of me having to hold back and bite my tongue because I'm afraid I might get canceled, or I'm afraid of rude comments. But at the end of the day, I'm not. I don't give a damn, because I'm going to speak my truth and speak my mind, and a lot of people need to do that more. We need to advocate for the weak and the less privileged and the people who are being used and abused and hurt. We need to advocate for those people, man or woman. And man, you are in the position to do it. You have the power to do it. So why are you not doing it? Why are you not protecting women? Just because you're not attracted to them? Just because they're not going to sleep with you or date you or this, that, and the third, you're not going to protect them, you're going to hurt them because of that? That's not right. That's not what God would want. That's not what your mama would want. It's not right. It's not right to only protect what benefits you. That doesn't make you human at all. That makes you soulless. It makes you soulless.